iniquity was found in you. Until iniquity was found in you, and that iniquity was pride. He became so consumed with his beauty. He became so consumed with everybody talking about how he was talented and how he was gifted, and we just couldn't. What would we do without you in heaven? You what we need up here. You make heaven heaven. We love God, but without your worship and without your music, what would we do without you? And so he began to internalize those compliments, and the Bible said you was perfect in all your ways. This is not something that Satan caught. It was not something that was contagious. It's something that developed in Satan internally, and it's not something that he touched and picked up like a germ or a bacteria. It developed in him by himself. And I want to tell you this, don't ever take pride in you being holding out so long for God and not doing this or not doing that. It can happen to you also in a flash. If you're not careful, you can begin to think things like that, and that iniquity and that spirit of pride and that cancer can get established in you and pull you down to the lowest place. And you know it's the truth. Satan's cancer metastasized and it spread, and he took a third of the angels of heaven with him. Now I want to just talk about that for a minute. Satan, his cancer metastasized and it spread, and he had his realm. He had his angels that was around him, and he was in a relationship with those angels.
His angels.
A third of them. They were created by God. They would have had no existence whatsoever if it hadn't been for Almighty God. And Satan would have had no existence at all whatsoever had it not been for Almighty God. You know what pride is? It's refusing to give God glory for your very existence. Are you listening to me? I said it's a refusal to give God glory for your very existence. It's a refusal to give God glory for the air that you take in your nostrils. It's refusal to give God glory for the ability to see, and the ability to smell, and the ability to taste, and the ability to talk, and the ability to love. You're not going to give God glory for it because now you feel like that you're in control. And the Bible said, as you see the day approaching, it says, don't you know that everything's going to be on fire, and the heavens will melt with a fervent heat, and the elements will melt. It'll drip down like candle wax. And what manner of persons are we to be? Instead of being haughty and high-minded, get your behavior in order. Get your behavior in order. Now I'm beginning to feel a little something here. It says, till iniquity, until pride was found in you. Satan's cancer metastasized, and he affected a third of the angels. A third of the angels? How many is that? Probably millions. Because now on the earth, you see Satan's got all these angels doing his bidding.
And they're all down here.
These angels are involved in all the nations of the world.
Looking for bodies to inhabit and minds to control.
They do warfare with the angels, the other angels, the archangels. They do warfare with them. There's all kind of echelons and all kind of ranks of angels. He took a third of them. Satan took a third of them. Just because his pride metastasized and he affected a third. I've been to churches. When I went there during revival, people would invite me to come, and we'd have one of the most glorious services you can imagine. Heaven came down and glory filled our soul. The worship was awesome, breathtaking. And when you'd stand up there behind that pulpit in that church to preach, it almost just pulled the wind out of your lungs. It was so powerful. You go back 2 years later, only a handful of people there.
Dead.
Churches struggling. Pastors discouraged. What happened? Somebody got into pride. and somebody pulled 200 or 300 people away, and the church started going on the skids.
Yeah, that's St. Paul's.
If it's happened one time, it's happened 10,000 times.
And the rest of yous.
And what I'm trying to say is this: be very careful, because these times develops those kind of characteristics. Can I just be honest with you? I get up sometime and preach till I'm almost blue around the mouth. I've studied for hours. I've prayed for hours. And I get up and preach, and I preach things that God gives me, and they really touch me, and they move me. And I get up and preach them, and I see people sitting out there, we're going to need that from Sunday. It's like, come on. We're going to have to wake up and come out of sleep. It's high time that we come out of sleep, and we begin to amend our behavior to match the time. Somebody give God praise. I want to show you this in the Bible. I don't know if some of you have ever seen this or not, but I want to point it out to you. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I want to show it to you just in case. Here's what the Bible said the sins of Sodom was in Ezekiel. Behold, this was the iniquity of Sodom. Number one was pride. That's where it all works off of right there is pride. Everybody say that out loud with me, please. Pride. Say it one more time. These were the sins of your sister Sodom. What was it? Pride. Number two, fullness of bread. That means they had abundance of everything. That means they had anything at Costco and Sam's and Sears and Roebuck. No, I forget. That's out now. They're gone. But anyway, Publix, whatever, they had everything. They had abundance of everything. They had no lack for nothing. In other words, they were full of pride. Now, what's that all about? I'm not trying to meddle. I'm just trying to help you to understand what I'm trying to say. And it said not only a fullness of a surplus of things, but it said abundance of idleness, too much free time. Oh, let me just stop right here and go back over these one more time. Here was the sins of Sodom. Pride, surplus of everything, lacked for nothing, had everything they wanted. Anytime they had a whim, they got it. And then they had abundance of idleness. What does abundance of idleness mean? It means they didn't have enough to keep them busy, so their mind, they've often said an idle mind is the devil's workshop. It's not good for you to have too much free time on your hands. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying to you? These were the sins of Sodom. Pride was at the top of the list. But it never mentioned homosexuality. It never mentioned sodomy. It never mentioned any of those things. But pride was the mother of everything in there that caused Sodom and Gomorrah to be destroyed. Let me go ahead and I want to give you some other scriptures on pride. I'm going to do this real quickly, but I'm going to end up with humility. I'm going to end up positive. Somebody say he's going to end up positive. Not too positive, but positive. Yeah. Here's some other scriptures on pride. It says, only by pride cometh contention. Whoa, wait a minute now. Wait, what did that say? Only by pride comes contention. If you've got contention in your home, somebody's full of pride. Somebody's not yielding. Somebody's not submitting. Somebody's not praying. Somebody's not asking God to come in and help y'all. Only by pride comes contention. What does contention mean? It means a struggling together in opposition. Only by pride comes contention. It means you're struggling together in opposition. Strife, striving and rivalry. You're in competition. You're in a contest. You're striving and debate. You're debating. Nobody's winning. You're disputing. Nobody's gaining in the dispute. And it's controversy. It's constant controversy. Only by pride comes contention. When you find somebody that's like that, they've got a spirit of pride on them, and it's almost impossible to deal with them. Now hear me. You remember what I told you a while ago about the cells in the body? You ever seen somebody that had cancer, and you saw a picture of them 5 years earlier, and they look like a picture of hell? shiny. Their skin looked good. They was robust. You could tell they was slim. They were svelte. They looked good. I mean, they looked healthy. They were handsome. They were pretty. But you look at them 5 years later, 3 years later, 2 years later, they're emaciated. Their face is sunk in. They can't hardly walk good. The clothes is hanging all over. What happened? Good cells that went bad. Good cells that went bad. There was a time whenever I've known people, oh yes, Brother Kilpatrick. Oh, Brother Kilpatrick, I love you. Brother Kilpatrick, I just thank God for you. Brother Kilpatrick, I love the church. Brother Kilpatrick, I love revival. Oh, Brother Kilpatrick. And then a couple of years later, can't hardly speak to me. Won't hardly have nothing to do with me.
Walk past you in the street.
Barely come to church. Something happened. What was it? Cancer of the soul.
Yep.
It doesn't diagnose on x-ray. It doesn't show up on an MRI. But it shows up in everyday behavior. It's undeniable. Once was such a powerhouse for God. Once preached. Once taught. Once served on the leadership board of the church. She once worked with girls in the church. Proverbs 11:2, when pride comes, then comes shame. But with the lowly is wisdom. When pride comes, then comes shame. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor will uphold the humble in spirit. Proverbs 16, everyone that's proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Mark 7, Jesus speaking, he said, that which comes out of a man, that defiles the man. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, and pride. Where does it come from? Within. Foolishness. All these things come from within, Jesus said, and defile the man. Pride is simply being filled with self and a sense of one's importance. A sense of one's importance. Let me tell you something. If you were to die today, your family and this world will move right ahead within 7 to 10 days after your